Hey everyone, Talina here, and today we're going to look at 10 ways you can prepare yourself for rolling a Demon Hunter. Starting with number 10, reserve that character name. This one might be a fairly obvious one, but if you're like me and like to carry across a similar character name in between each of your tunes, get it reserved quickly so that no one snatches it away from you. Number 9, Transmog. With Transmog going account-wide in Legion, you're going to want to start collecting any leather pieces that you think you might want to use for your Demon Hunter. Make sure you collect them on a character that can actually wear leather, like a druid, a rogue, a monk. Also, you might want to use an add-on like wardrobe just to help you keep track of what you have and have not collected yet. If you haven't already done so, you may want to have a look at the Wowhead dressing room. This will let you play around with different transmogs on a Demon Hunter model. Number 8 is Vanity Items. This one might seem a bit silly, but there are a lot of people, myself included, who like collecting and using the in-game toys. And with Legion, a lot of old useful items are now becoming toys. Items like the Battle Horn and the Ludarang are becoming toys, but they're also getting a bit of a nerf in their toy form. But those aside, there's also the Angler's Fishing Raft, which will become a toy in Legion, and that could be incredibly useful for helping you level up your fishing. However, with the fishing raft, you are still going to be required to have Revered with the anglers in order to use it. Aside from toys, there are several useful things like a wormhole generator if you're going to be an engineer, or something like Jaina's Locket, which can get you to Old Dalaran and Northrend. These items can make traveling to older zones much more convenient. Moving on to number 7, get ready to set up your garrison in Draenor. I know at this point we're all sick of garrisons and Apexis crystals, but there are actually some really nice benefits for having a tier 3 garrison on your Demon Hunter. One of the main benefits of this is to get a jump on leveling at the launch of Legion. The garrison offers scouting missives, which you can purchase from a vendor inside your garrison. If you complete them but wait to turn them in until the launch of Legion, it'll give you a nice little experience bonus heading into the new content. Each one of these scouting missives can give between 22,000 and 30,000 experience each, as well as between 46 and 61 gold. So I would recommend stocking up on those ogre caches. They reward 1,000 garrison resources each, and it'll make it a lot easier to set up your garrison quickly. Number 6, reputations. Okay, so this one might be a little over the top for most players, but if you really want to go all out, you can start working on maxing those old world reputations before the Demon Hunter is even released. With the introduction of Time Walker dungeons, you now have access to the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and Cataclysm reputation tokens. These give you 500 reputation each and cost 50 Time Walker badges. So if you're like me and are constantly grinding out those Time Walkers each event, hoping for that stupid mount to drop, you're likely going to have an excess of these badges. Now, for Mists of Pandaria factions, you can start by hunting down Zandalari Warbringers and War Scouts. These drop stolen insignias which can grant 1,000 reputation each. The Warbringers have a respawn timer of about half an hour to an hour, and the War Scouts spawn in the same general location as the Warbringers, however they do patrol away fairly quickly. The spawn locations for these are marked on the map. As you can see, the Warbringers and War Scouts spawn in the Jade Forest, the Karasang Wilds, Kun Lai Summit, Town Long Steps, and in the Dread Wastes. The Warbringers will usually drop between 1 to 3 tokens, and the War Scouts will drop 1 token each. The factions which you can gain rep with this way are the Golden Lotus, the Shadowpan, the Calaxi, and the Celestials. If you already have a character revered with one of these factions, you can purchase a Grand Commendation for that faction. It's going to increase the reputation gain account-wide with that faction by 100%, which makes these tokens worth 2,000 rep each. And finally, Warlords of Draenor rep. You can pick up the Medallion of the Legion, which will grant you 1,000 reputation with all Draenor factions. If you decide to build up your garrison on your Demon Hunter, you should look into building a tier 3 trading post. This will increase all Draenor reputation gains by 20%, and this could save you a bit of money buying those medallions on the auction house because they're steadily going up in price. Number 5, pick yourself up some bigger bags. After finishing the Demon Hunter starting zone, you're only going to have 16 slot bags, so you might want to think about picking up something a little larger. That way you're not always going in search of a vendor. I'd recommend picking up the 30 slot Hexweave bags. You're going to want to pick these up sooner rather than later, because with all the new Demon Hunters being made, the demand for these as well as the price are going to keep going up. Number 4, leveling gear and consumables. Coming into the Demon Hunter starting zone, you're going to have around 690 item level gear, and with the pre-Legion event, you're probably going to get up to around 700. This is enough to get you through the leveling content. However, if you want to make your leveling experience a little more efficient, you can look into getting yourself some of the 715 item level crafted gear. Things like the Skull of War trinket are particularly powerful. You're going to want to make sure you have the Infallible Tracking Charm trinket. This is the Agility Heirloom trinket, and it's going to last you all the way to level 110. These heirloom trinkets have a chance to drop off of the Warlords of Draenor mythic 5-man dungeon bosses. Aside from the gear, you might also want to stockpile some flasks, potions, and augment runes just to help speed up your questing. These are fairly cheap and easy to acquire, and they'll really make a difference. Number 3, professions. Now is a great time to get those professions maxed and ready for Legion, so you can jump right into all that new Legion crafting content. First, you're going to want to figure out what professions to go with. Do you want to go double crafting, or do you want to go double gathering, or maybe one of each? The downside of going double crafting is that it's going to be harder to get those materials, and it might cost you some gold at the auction house to level your professions. And if you go double gathering, you're not going to be able to make use of the Blood of Sargeras crafting material, as it's going to be soulbound. I personally am planning on going skinning and leatherworking as they seem fitting for a leatherwear, and I don't have either of those professions on my alts. In order to get to skill level 700, I have stocked up 3,250 raw beast hides. This will allow me to max the profession using the Draenor catch-up mechanic. And you shouldn't forget about your secondary professions either. First aid can easily be leveled up using sea scorpions for the Draenor catch-up mechanic. This will give you a lot of healing tonics, which could be useful while you're leveling. As for leveling fishing, if you're already best friends with Nat Pagle, you can purchase his fishing journals. The Mists of Pandaria journal will get you from 1 to 600, and the Draenor journals will get you the rest of the way up to 700. The Pandaria journals can be purchased from Nat Pagle in the Karasang Wilds for 800 gold. For the Draenor journals, you'll need to have Nat Pagle at your fishing shack in your garrison, and you'll have to collect 25 lunkers for him per each journal. On a side note, while you're working on your fishing, you want to make sure to pick up a Water Strider mount. The Pandaria version costs 4,000 gold, and the Draenor version costs 100 lunkers. This will help you so much while leveling, as you can run across the water quickly with it. And for cooking, if you are fishing up all those lunkers, you probably have a lot of extra fish laying about. Pick yourself up a copy of The Joy of Draenor Cooking, and use those fishies to max out your Demon Hunter's cooking very quickly. Number 2, Gold Farm. This one is pretty straightforward. Just make sure you have a decent amount of gold on your Demon Hunter going into Legion. There's going to be lots of different things to buy. There's the 250,000 gold ring, which teleports you to Dalaran, or the 2 million gold spider mount. Those are pretty extreme examples, but those aside, it never hurts to have a bit of gold sitting around just in case you need it. And if you haven't been farming gold, I'd get on that pretty quickly. A lot of the easy ways to make gold in Draenor are going to be going away or getting heavily nerfed. The Cataclysm 25 heroic raids are being nerfed by about 35%. Potions of Luck, which made Pandaria farming so great, are being removed. And of course, Garrison missions are no longer going to reward gold. And now for number 1. If you ignore everything else on this list, or dismiss it as being a little too overly prepared, please at least take note of this one. Learn about the class. If you've not been able to gain access to the alpha or beta, don't worry. There are still many resources available to you that can help teach you about this class. As most of you know by now, the Demon Hunter is going to have 2 specs available, the Vengeance tanking spec and the Havoc DPS spec. I'd recommend familiarizing yourself with both of these specs, even if you strictly want to play as a DPS or strictly as a tank. You never know when you're going to be called upon to use the other spec. Unlike the other classes, which are going to have their talent trees fully unlocked at level 100, we will not have access to all of our talents until we get to level 110, which means we're going to be adding new skills as we level up. You're going to want to look over all the talents and decide which ones best suit your playstyle. There are currently several endgame builds, such as the Momentum build, which are great for endgame, but what is optimal for raiding may not always be the best choice for leveling. You're going to want to look at talents that give you a good sustain and minimize your downtime. Coming with Legion are your artifact weapons. These have their own skill trees which you need to put points into. The Havoc DPS spec gets the Twin Blades of the Deceiver, and the Vengeance tank spec gets the Eldraki Warblades. It's been said that to fully max out these trees will take several months, and resetting the talents on them will be quite expensive. Therefore, you're going to want to plan out the route that you'll take for leveling them up. With your artifact weapon, you're going to want to plan ahead for endgame content. Think about which talents will benefit you most for raiding or PvPing, or whatever it is you like to do at endgame. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please give us a like and subscribe for more videos coming soon.